Welcome back, fellow trophy hunters, and today we're going to talk about some Prototype 3 leaks. Now, I know what you're saying, Prototype 3, have I clicked on the right video? Have I just travelled to another dimension? What the hell is going on? But I didn't want to just give you the leaks and just kind of end the video there. I also wanted to talk about the legitimacy and implications of the new leaks. Retrospective on Prototype 1 and 2, what made them groundbreaking and where they were faulted, and what a modern Prototype 3 must achieve to succeed in today's gaming industry. You know, it's compared to when it came out, gaming's changed quite a bit. So, you know, you've got these battle passes and battle royale stuff, and that's kind of the norm for what people like in games, but in reality it's not, because look what Suicide Squad did, and that completely flopped. I mean, controversial opinion, I don't think it was a bad game necessarily. I think it was a fun game, but just a bit repetitive, and it just didn't feel like, you know, the kind of, if you put Batman, like the Arkham trilogy, and Suicide Squad, you just wouldn't think it was made by the same people, if you kind of get what I'm saying.
Woo! Yeah, baby! And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
But anyway, I am rambling. So, the Prototype franchise once stood as a hallmark of open-world power fantasies, delivering a visceral, shape-shifting experience that few games could match. With the recent report from Insider Gaming suggesting a new installment may be in development, the gaming community has reignited discussions about the series' past triumphs, shortcomings, and potential future. So, the leaks of what we know so far. So, according to Insider Gaming, an anonymous playtester has claimed that a new Prototype game is in active development. While details remain scarce, several key points have emerged. So, the project is in early stages, like pre-alpha, meaning core mechanics and narrative are still being finalised. The development is not being handled by Radical Entertainment, the original studio behind the first two games, which was shut down in 2012. Instead, a new team under Activision's supervision may be at the helm. Early descriptions suggest a return to the franchise's roots, open world viral chaos with enhanced destruction physics. Story hints reference a blacklight resurgence and legacy characters, fueling speculation about Alex Mercer's potential return. While these leaks should be taken with a grain of salt, given the lack of official confirmation, they present an exciting possibility. The original game thrived on their unrestrained gameplay, and modern technology could elevate that formula significantly. However, the absence of Radical Entertainment raises questions about whether a new team can capture the same magic. Now, remember, just because these leaks might not be real and they might be debunked, doesn't mean we can't have a bit of fun with it. You know, yes, it could be a bit annoying when we see leak after leak after leak, but from as far as I'm aware, please correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first kind of leak we've had about this in quite a while, or even at all. I mean, I'll be honest, I've played Prototype 2, didn't play the first one, big fan of the second one. Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with all the stories, this, that, and the next thing. But I would be very excited to have a Prototype 3, just to know if they can build off what they did in the second one. I think that would be really good, especially with PS5 graphics and all this type of stuff. But anyway, so talking about Prototype 1, released in 2009, Prototype was a revelation in open world action games. Players assumed the role of Alex Mercer, an amnesiac anti-hero infected with the blacklight virus. granting him grotesque biological weaponry and unparalleled mobility. The game's greatest achievement was its unmatched sense of power. Mercer could sprint up skyscrapers, glide across city blocks, and morph his limbs into devastating weapons, claws, blades, and whip-like tendrils. The freedom to consume enemies and assume their identities added a layer of strategy, allowing players to infiltrate military bases or evade pursuers in creative ways. Moreover, Prototype embraced its over-the-top violence with glee. The combat was brutal, with dismemberments, explosive kills, and physics-driven chaos that made every encounter feel impactful. However, the game was far from perfect. Its mission structure grew repetitive, often recycling objectives like chase this target or destroy this base. The narrative, while intriguing in concept, suffered from convoluted storytelling and stiff dialogue. Additionally, the graphics, even at the time, were criticised for their muddy textures and inconsistent animations. Despite these flaws, Prototype carved out a niche. It wasn't just a game, it was a power fantasy unrestrained by realism, and that resonated with players. Now, Prototype 2 arrived in 2012 with heightened expectations. This time players controlled James Heller, a soldier seeking vengeance against Mercer, now a villain. The sequel refined many mechanics but also lost some of the original spark. The combat saw noticeable upgrades with smoother animations and even gorier finishers. Heller's new abilities such as devastating biobomb added fresh tactical options. The game also benefited from a more charismatic protagonist. Heller's foul-mouthed rage made him a more engaging lead than the stoic Mercer. Visually, Prototype 2 was a step up, with better lighting, more detailed character models, and a more varied depiction of New York's infected zones. Yet, the sequel played it safe. The open world felt recycled. With the same cityscape and similar mission structures, the story, while more straightforward, lacked the conspiracy-driven intrigue of the first game, opting for a more predictable revenge tale. Most damningly, Prototype 2 failed to innovate. It was more polished, but didn't push boundaries, leading to a sense of deja vu. The closure of Radical Entertainment shortly after release seemed to signal the franchise's end, until now. If the leaks are accurate, Prototype 3 faces a critical challenge, reviving a dormant franchise and a market that has evolved significantly since 2012. Here's what it needs to deliver. The first game's strength was its mystery, Mercer's amnesia, the Black Light virus, and the shadowy organisations pulling strings. A modern sequel should embrace that intrigue, offering a narrative with twists, morally grey choices, and hidden truths. While the gameplay should retain its brutal combat and fluid movement, new mechanics must be introduced. Imagine dynamic mutation combinations, like merging claws of tendrils for hybrid attacks, or environmental assimilation, absorbing elements like fire, electricity for enhanced abilities, and/or a karma-like system where the world reacts to how violently or stealthily you play, like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, for example, maybe. Modern engines like Unreal 5 could realise the franchise's potential for chaos. Buildings should crumble realistically, crowds should panic dynamically, and the virus's spread could be visually staggering. A Prototype game with co-op, viral outbreaks, or PvP battles between mutated beings could be revolutionary. Imagine two players with evolving abilities clashing in a fully destructible city. That would be kinda mad. Now, the Prototype series was never perfect, but it offered something rare, an uninhibited, grotesque, and exhilarating power fantasy. The leaks, while unconfirmed as I previously stated, present an exciting possibility, a return to the chaos with modern technology. For Prototype 3 to succeed, it must honour its roots while innovating boldly. It needs a gripping story, deeper gameplay systems, and destruction that feels next gen. Most importantly, it must embrace what made the originals unique. unapologetic, brutal, and liberating gameplay. If executed well, this could be the revival fans have waited for over a decade for. If not, it risks becoming another forgotten reboot. Either way, the potential is there. Now we just need to wait to see if the leaks become reality, which we could find out very shortly at maybe the Summer Games Fest, or more realistically, the Game Awards at the end of the year. So who knows? But that's all the information I've got for you today. So let me know in the comments. Would you like to see this game return? What features would you like added? If you were creating Prototype 3, what stuff would you add? What would be the three main things you would want included in this game to make it worth playing? But anyway, I appreciate you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on those bell notifications, and I appreciate every single one of you for sticking around and seeing these videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.